saying goodbye to players is very poor and disappointing. I mean, they didn't even tell Hester they weren't bringing him back. They just didn't offer him a contract.
Yeah, it's true.
You kind of hope that that'll eventually stop, except, I mean, when Briggs is gone, think about how bad this linebacking core is going to be.
Well, that's why I think this upcoming offseason is one of the most important for the Bears team. If they really want to turn things around, I think they're going to have to make a ton of moves because, like you just said, certainly you don't want to head into next season with that same linebacking core.
I mean, I'd be okay with Christian Jones just because of the promise he's been showing, except I think if Shea McClellan, you give Shea McClellan till week 8 next year, and then if he's still not doing anything, then it's time the Shea McClellan experiment's over.
Mm-hmm. I think it's over after this season.
I think it is, too.
He had the transformation with his body where he got a little quicker and whatnot and moved from defensive end to linebacker. And how often have you heard his name? The only thing he's really done for the Bears the past 3 seasons is breaking Aaron Rodgers' collarbone.
Right.
Other than that, he's been unheard of for 3 seasons, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Well, other than when it was a surprise pick when they picked him.
Oh, that too.
I mean, if you were,
I mean, it didn't start off on the right foot with that guy. So.
Yeah, Phil Emery's first pick not looking like a home run there,
But that's not McClellan's fault. It's had you taken Shea in the 2nd or 3rd round or 4th round, like where you probably could have gotten him
when he should have been taken,
right? Like
Kyle Long, because I mean Kyle Long's looking like a home run, except you could have gotten another good player in that first round.
Yeah, I thought Kyle Long was probably the best offensive lineman against the Lions, and that was one of the matchups that was interesting. It was Sue against Long, and
he's done a great job as a Bear.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, he had that big pancake block along with Garza on the screen on the Bears' first drive, and he held his own against Sue. You saw Garza struggle, and that's the guy who's getting up in age, and you have to wonder about too.
Well, I think that's why they signed De La Puente last offseason, and now that he's out, the Bears.
He's done for the season, right?
Yeah, he's done for the season. Matt Slauson's been. I think Matt Slauson has missed a lot. I think he's only played in 2 or 3 games.
I think did he tear his triceps?
He tore something in his leg or something. I know he sprained his ankle in week 1, missed 3 weeks, came back, and then was done for the season.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up the Bears in one season. It hasn't been good. I mean, there's been a lot of injuries, but still, it's unacceptable to be 5-7 right now, especially with the offense that's supposed to be, top 5 in the league.
Right, and another thing I have a problem with the Bears is the attitude, and I think what defines that is Lance Briggs' response to what made you successful last year. This is before the Packers game at Lambeau Field this year. They just asked him, what do you think what was the key to you being able to win there last year? And he just said, Shea broke Aaron Rodgers' collarbone, and then he walked away.
I mean, he's not wrong. It's just
you don't go and say that.
No, not as a professional football player. That's not something that you say.
And look what happened. Rodgers tore that defense apart, and he was making the jokes afterwards.
Which I'm pretty certain last year, if Aaron Rodgers, if he didn't have to leave the game, the Bears probably would have lost that too.
Well, another thing, if he didn't get injured, Green Bay probably would have walked away with that division. It wouldn't have come down to Week 17 at Chicago.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, we're going to go to a quick update, and then we'll continue our Bears pregame show, Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com.
Thank you, Ryan, for that update. 6:33 from the SportsTownChicago.com studios. You're listening to the Sports Renegades and our Bears-Cowboys pregame show. Pregame show, is that what we're calling it? Pregame show.
Pregame show. It's probably the only one we get to host this
Tune
year.
off 670 and turn on SportsTownChicago.com for the pregame show.
And it's funny because you're talking about all the other matchups with the Bulls playing last night, the Hawks playing last night.
Yep.
All the college basketball. How about that DePaul win over Stanford?
That was big. I was actually at that game. Yeah. I was at that game. It was pretty exciting because I didn't think they had any chance to win that. And
I thought they were going to get.
They played pretty well, and they're doing. They definitely look improved over the last 3-4 seasons that they've had Oliver Purnell as their coach. Because normally they have a couple bad non-conference losses, but they only have one so far. But
when was the last time they were in the dance?
Last time they were in the NCAA tournament was 2004. So that was a good. The last time they were in postseason play was the NIT in 07.
Okay. Was 2004 the year with one of the Diener brothers? Do you remember the Diener brothers?
Yes, I do. Drake Diener was on that team. Cumont Greer, LeVar Seals, a couple other guys on that team. Dave Lieto was the coach. He's now an assistant at Missouri, I think. So, yeah.
And Travis was on Marquette at that time?
He was on Marquette, yes. Right. I think they're both from the Milwaukee area.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Northwestern to make it to a tournament, and
I'm hoping so. I mean, they had a bad loss to Georgia Tech, but they're hopefully will be competitive in the Big Ten this year.
Absolutely, and the reason I brought up all those different sporting matchups is because I think out of all of them this week at least, the Bears game is probably one of the ones I'm really not looking forward to, really don't care about. And I hate saying that because, like I said, earlier this season, every Sunday was, all right, it's Bears Sunday, let's watch football. Now you're just kind of, when's the next time the Blackhawks play? When's the next time the Bulls play?
That game yesterday against the Blues was very entertaining.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
4-1 win. No Corey Crawford, no problem dominating the Blues. I mean, and that's really a shame that he broke his foot after missing a step at a concert.
Yeah.
He didn't break his foot, did he? I think he sprained his ankle.
Maybe
I think it was a sprain.
I think I heard a hairline fracture, possibly.
Yeah, fracture. He's out 2 to 3 weeks. And going back to the Bears, Jay Ratliff is going to be a captain tonight. Except, no. He's not even going to play tonight. He's inactive.
And he's still a captain?
Yeah, he's a captain, and he's inactive.
He'll be yelling from the sidelines, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe he'll be a better coach than Mark Trestman.
Well, that's one of the things that was also a head-scratcher was the fact that they didn't pick captains before the season started. They just went captains by week.
Which is stupid. That means you have no leaders.
Have you ever heard of – and exactly, that's the point. This team lacked leaders from the beginning of the season, and I don't think a defined leader has been set.
Well, and your leader, your main leader, should be the quarterback, Jay Cutler. He's not even, a captain or anything. He
doesn't even care. It seems like.
Well, and his personality really isn't to lead a team. His personality is to play up to his ability, but it's not to,
at this point,
lead a team
and
even doing that? Tell people what to do. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. Yeah.
He had the interception against Detroit, which was just awful. Another one off his back foot. Tried to throw it to Marshall in double coverage.
That's it. He's trying to get back into the game too quick. Like there was still plenty of time left. I know the Bears were down by a couple scores, but there was still enough time left where you didn't have to throw that ball, and you could have just ran with Forte, which they didn't do at all.
Right. I think, and they're on their 15-yard line. You don't have to gain 85 yards all in one play, and I think that's his problem is. Sometimes remember the old Bears quarterbacks with their checkdowns and whatnot, but they were able to limit turnovers. You look at a guy like Kyle Orton, who's not having the worst season in Buffalo.
That's true. I mean, the Bills are around 500 for the first time in a long time, so that's exciting for them, I guess. But I don't think they'll still make it to the playoffs.
Now, do you guys think that maybe, even though Phil Emery or Mark Trestman was brought in to fix Jay Cutler, do you think that maybe he's gotten worse? Because honestly, it seems like he's throwing more interceptions and he's fumbling the ball more. It seems like he's turning the ball over more with Mark Trestman.
Well, I mean, Jay Cutler's always turned the ball over, but
other than his first year with the Bears, though, he didn't really throw many interceptions until that first year with Trestman.
That's true. That's a good point, but I don't know.
Another thing you have to wonder about too is you look at that first drive against Detroit, and they marched down the field no problem. And what was it? It was screen passes.
Yeah, and Jay Cutler had said before the game he's going to have to get the ball out quick. They're going to have to move the offense quick. It's got to be a lot of quick plays, and they did that on the first drive. And then
they did that for like the first quarter, and then after that,
they discovered that it worked, so they abandoned it.
Yeah,
exactly. But that's the thing too is. Obviously, the Bears are going to come out and say that, this is nothing against Detroit's defensive line. Obviously, they're very good, but maybe it gives Cutler the opportunity to limit his turnovers. If he's getting, he's taking a 3-step drop, throwing a screen pass, chances are that ball's not even getting tipped or anything.
Right, and another thing, though, in Jay Cutler's defense is the pass protection has not been as good as it was last year.
It hasn't. And
injuries are a part of that.
And that was the thing last year is the same offensive line started all 17 games.
Jay Cutler was
Mills,
the only.
I think Mills missed one game last year.
No, Mills he got injured in week 17.
Yeah, that's right. He started 17, but he got hurt.
Jay Cutler was the only player on the offense last year that missed a game.
Wow.
That's not. I had a feeling
that is right.
When I heard that, I was just thinking, oh, that's not going to happen this year. And now they've. Well, I mean, I think every lineman except Kyle Long has been injured at some point. Mills has missed games. Slauson's out for the year. De La Puente's out for the year. Garza's missed games, and Bushrod's missed games.
Right.
And it seems like Jeffrey and Marshall have been injured off and on.
Right, Marshall
since,
and Jeffrey.
week 2, week 3.
So, well, since week 1, Jeffrey injured his hamstring and Marshall injured his ankle. They've had nagging injuries the whole season, limiting their production. Martellus Bennett's had some nagging injuries. Forte is the guy that's taking the pounding every game, and you don't see him ever come up on the injury report.
Right.
Well, it's probably because of the 5 rush attempts he gets a game.
Well, he's also catching the ball, though.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just I was just taking a stab at the fact that he's running the ball. And then what did Trustman say?
Kadeem Carey had more rushing yards than Forte against Detroit. Oh, I love this response from Mark Trestman after the game. I think we need to start running the ball more.
Really? Should have been starting to run the ball more in that Miami game. I mean, all the way back there, you could have been running the ball more.
And again,
I mean, did it take you 13 weeks to realize you should run the ball? And it's not like, and they have one of the best running backs in the league. It's not like they have Trent Richardson as their running back.
Right, exactly. You have a top 5 running back in your backfield, and I understand that Detroit's defensive line is tough. But, you know, if you become one-dimensional regardless, especially with a guy like Cutler, who has shown that he can turn over the ball.
Especially when he starts getting annoyed. I mean, you can tell he's getting annoyed with Trestman. Then he starts getting annoyed, and then he starts making more mistakes.
Right. It almost looks like Trestman doesn't have confidence in Cutler to make the passes that he wants thrown.
Right.
And it also looks like Cutler doesn't have confidence in himself or sometimes in Trestman, like you said.
They're lacking confidence. They're lacking leadership. They're lacking a lot of things. But the main thing, especially for, now if they do want to win the game tonight, they're going to have to use Matt Forte pretty much first and second down all the time.
Right. And you said the lack of confidence and leadership. Where does that come from? Your head coach.
That starts with the head coach. It could even start with Phil Emery, too.
Right, and I don't see how Trestman enters his 3rd season as Bears head coach.
Well,
I just don't see it.
Another thing is you can already tell that the players have all lost confidence in the coaching staff, and when they're having player-only meetings.
Right, and it's been like that for a while now, and everyone says they're buying into the system and whatnot. And
I mean, if you're on the defense,
no, you're not.
Do you want to be buying into this system if you're on the defense?
Right, and it was John Bostic with, I think he was doing his daily show with Bors and Bernstein, and he brought up that they see good things in film and whatnot, and they believe in themselves.
Well, that's the thing.
In the system. Well, what's going wrong here?
Well, it's like, but that's the thing. Like every time they say, "Oh, I see good things here in film. I'm seeing good things on the practice field." Well, so are all the other teams in the NFL.
Right.
Everyone sees good and bad things in their defense. The problem is the Bears aren't changing things to tailor it to either their opponent or to tailor it to what they want to do for the rest of the season.
Right. And how many games has Mark Trestman been out-coached?
Pretty much every game.
All of them.
Pretty much all of them. And another thing is, all these teams are going to halftime making adjustments where Mark Trestman doesn't make any adjustments at halftime. It's the same Bears team that takes the 49ers game was probably the only game where they made halftime adjustments.
Right.
Well, you could probably say Mark Trestman outcoached Jim Harbaugh in that game.
That's true. And I guess in the Tampa Bay game when they were down 10-0, they came out and they had a really good half in the second half against Tampa Bay.
I think that was just more momentum because the McCown, that one fumble that McCown threw backwards. I mean, I don't think that was at all the coaching staff. I mean, you can tell Mark Trestman does not make adjustments at halftime while the other coaches do. Look what happened against Detroit. They got clobbered in the second half.
That's true.
Even that game started to turn in the second quarter, too. I mean, it was 14-3, and then what? Detroit scored 24 straight on it?
I know the Bears were losing at halftime, right?
They were. After the first quarter, the Bears were outscored 31-3.
Oh, my gosh.
And if Detroit had scored 50 points, they would have allowed 50-plus points in 3 consecutive road games.
Oh, my God. I mean, just to, think that was, close to being a possibility, that they were only 2 scores away from making that a reality, I mean, that's just a shame.
And this is the same monsters of the Midway team that specialized in their defense and were successful because of their defense.
Prided on their defense all the way up until couple years ago, pretty much.
And now
Exactly.
it's in a passing league.
Yep. Anyways, 6:45 from the SportsTownChicago.com studios. We are coming up against the break. Coming up after the break, we will continue the Bears and Cowboys matchup. You're listening